It is remarkable how often content creators will look at their website and just not be able to tell what it is that's holding it back from having success. We hear this all the time, and people want us to look at their blogs and see if we can figure out what is holding them back. Today, we want to see, this is a bit of a challenge we were given, to see if just looking at the front end of the blog, no analytics, just what you can see publicly, if we can determine which of these blogs are successful or not. So Julia issued us a challenge. We have 5 blogs. She's right over here, that's why I keep looking over there. We have 5 blogs, and we know roughly the page views that they have per month, but we don't know which is which, and we have to figure it out just by looking at them. And I'm a little bit nervous, because last time Julia gave us a challenge, we ended up in the river. So
hopefully that doesn't happen again.
Huge thank you to our Income School insiders. All of these sites came from insiders who submitted their sites for review. And we're gonna go ahead and actually, in the description, we're gonna give you some other takeaways for each one of these sites. So thank you very much for sharing, and we wish you all the greatest of success. So let's dive in. The first blog here is dailyteatime.com. Okay, first impression. I'm gonna let you go first.
Well, I guess my first impression, the site looks really clean, very visually appealing, which I guess given the niche makes sense. Yeah. It seems like this is something that you would want to look really nice. I'm seeing an ad here on the side, a nice logo. What else are you noticing?
I also want to just make sure that I understand what it is the site is intending to be about versus what I'm seeing. So we've got a lot of recipes and stuff here, which is pretty competitive. Can you scroll back down to that little about spot here?
Yeah.
It is what I thought it was. It's all about tea. Tea's been a part of her life. So how much content do we have on this website? 116 posts. And again, just from the menu, it looks like it is basically recipe. So lots of competition, but also quite a bit of content, over 100 posts. My impression of how it looks exactly how I would want it to look for what it is. Looking through the posts, man, those images are really helpful.
Yeah, the images look really good, helpful.
Yeah, what about just engagement from the community? So comments are open, but like the one we're looking at doesn't have any.
Yeah. Maybe we can look at a slightly older article.
Yeah, let's look at one further back.
This is a little bit nerve-wracking. It is really hard to tell, but I think what you said earlier was really important. She has all the elements here that I would expect of a website that's doing something right.
We're looking for interaction because we do have comments. Looks yummy, thank you. There's some back and forth here, some actual questions.
Yeah.
That's a really good sign for me too. On a lot of blogs, we don't see a whole lot of commenting going on. I see it a little bit more in a couple of places. One, on recipes, especially if people have questions about the recipe.
Yeah.
And 2, when there's anything that's like very opinionated and especially politically charged, then you're gonna get comments because people just wanna argue like crazy. But a lot of blogs get very few comments. The fact that this has that many comments in there does make me feel like this blog has some real traffic. High level looking at this, I think it's probably doing rather well. I'm curious to see the others though before I pin a number to it. I feel like this could be or should be doing maybe better than the second best one on here, but I am not convinced that it's the top one.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say right now, my guess is this is maybe the second highest amount of traffic, just because of kind of what you said. The niche is so competitive, and just given the number of articles, I think it's very likely that this person created some good content, but then maybe a smaller portion of those articles are providing the majority of the traffic, which would make sense based on some of these numbers.
Cool thing is there's 116 posts, recipes that are all tea. I mean, when we're talking about topical authority, like they're probably covering at least tea recipes really well.
Yeah.
What I don't know is, are they talking about, and I don't really see it unless it's inside the recipes, but are they covering other aspects about tea? Questions that people have about tea in general. That might help to build more topical authority, but the fact that they're very focused on tea also makes me think that they're building some authority there.
Definitely.
Cool, I'm ready to look at the next one.
All right, here we go. Oh, interesting, very different feel on this website.
My first impression here, this looks like a tech news kind of website right off the bat. When I look at it, I don't love it. It doesn't make me excited when I see the website. Maybe there's not enough white space, or the white space I'm seeing isn't how I would want it to be design-wise. each of those posts is close together, so it just kind of feels like a lot of stuff being thrown at me all at once.
Right.
I don't like this full boxed in look. I think it always looks good when the header and the footer are full width. That's kind of the much more modern style.
Right.
So my first impression is it looks good. It doesn't look very disorganized by any means, but I don't love the design by any means either.
Yeah. Okay, one thing that I noticed right off the bat on this site is we're missing any sort of, there is recommended content over here on the sidebar, but any sort of like highlighted content.
Yes.
It's just like blog roll right off the bat. And I think that that's one thing that just makes this feel less special or like spectacular, is it just feels like a blog roll on the homepage.
Yeah.
I would like to see some highlighted content on the top, maybe some larger images, something just like a call out box, whatever, but just to give it a little bit more variety in the formatting.
And I mean, we're looking at it quickly, and we're not even looking to see how any of these articles are ranking. I'm curious to know how much content, though. Only 43 posts, which surprises me, by the way, when I look at this on the outset, given how many menu items there are and how full that homepage looks. Only having that much content actually surprises me. It feels like there's probably more than there is. But what that tells me too is that with all the different menu items, we have a few different brands going on, and TV hacks as a topic, we may be a little bit all over the place, not building a lot of topical authority quite yet. Again, this may be something that's coming, right? They're building it out and they're just early on. But for those reasons, I don't think this one's probably getting a lot of traffic yet. In fact, why don't we do that real quick? I'm just gonna say, can't find CBS app on smart songs. That's a really specific question. Okay, so I'm not seeing this website at all. I'm getting Samsung, I'm getting some other well-known websites. Yeah, I'm not seeing this one at all. And that doesn't surprise me a ton. The kinds of questions as well that it looks like we're answering. Can you get Paramount app on Samsung Smart TV? That's a really, really specific question that is also very easy to answer. It's a yes or no kind of question, and there's not a whole lot of caveat to it, right? If it was like, well, you can, but it's hidden and you have to find it the secret way, well, that would be really helpful. But for most of these, it's like, it's either available or it's not. It's going to be answerable by the AI, or the answers are going to be very readily available in Samsung documentation.
Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that this is ranked number 4 or 5. I
agree.
In respect to how much traffic it's getting every month. That's just my guess.
Cool. I think we can look at the next one.
Okay, here we go.
momsla.com. So the homepage.
I had to take a little bit of a deep breath here on this homepage. It just feels a little bit busy.
It doesn't feel like a homepage at all.
Yeah. Did we somehow end up on the wrong page?
We're on it feels like we're on an about page.
Okay.
Okay,
this looks a little bit more homey.
One thing for me is these links here along the top, these little circle things, like we're trying to point out specific content.
Yeah.
But the way those links are, just normal text with the blue underlined, is that feels a little bit, I don't know, basic
kind of
and outdated.
Yeah.
Very, very amateur.
Yeah.
It would look a lot better if they were just text or a button. I don't know, just a little bit more design to it, and the image itself could be clickable. Yeah. There's a few different options that I think would make it look a little bit better. I also, your Pinterest icon looks smaller than the other ones, maybe because there's supposed to be a white circle around it, or like it's not visible if there's supposed to be one, so it looks a lot smaller than the others. So little things like that kind of make it feel a little bit more amateur, but also kind of just feels like one thing right after another, without much spacing between and without any real design elements to help break it up.
Yeah, but one thing that I noticed at the top, there's the menu, but it's almost, there's so much else going on that you almost don't even realize that it's there. And then
I skipped right over it.
This almost feels more like where the menu might be or should be, but it looks like these are like highlighted posts or whatever, or resources at least. So it definitely seems like it definitely seems like a little bit of reorganization of this page. But I think also if you look at like a home page, we have various elements. They're just broken up a little bit.
Yeah.
And like you said, this just feels like one thing after another. So just a few things there.
My eyes don't. This is the problem here. Is my eyes don't go to any like particular place. So because of that, you're not actually like getting my attention to focus on one thing at a time. And I think maybe that's one of the reasons why in good design, we spread things out a little bit more, leave a little space in between. And one way to do that without making it feel like there's just tons of open white space is literally to kind of change the background color from one section to the next, even if it's subtle. And that makes it feel, if that divider is kind of happening halfway in between the space, it makes that space not feel huge, but it allows us to focus on one thing at a time.
So this is really interesting. So the blog itself feels a little bit outdated, but there are other hints going on this website. It's a little bit of an older website. It seems like there are other industry connections potentially when I looked on the home page.
Right.
Scroll down as featured in. So there's all these things pointing to potentially a more successful site, which is a little bit interesting.
Right.
I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. Those are indicators, by the way. Those indicators there give social proof that you've been featured in other places. You probably have some good backlinks and potentially traffic that has come from those places. Honestly, this site would probably do a fair amount better if it felt a little bit more, just a little bit more professional, a little bit more up to date.
Something else I noticed, they do have email, so some sort of sign up for people, which is I would consider maybe to be a slightly more advanced thing.
Right.
Someone who's just getting started is very unlikely to have
I don't
email
think they're
options
just getting
and stuff.
started.
They have a book, which makes me think they have maybe a little bit more success. And then they are using, it says they're on the Trellis framework by Mediavine. I don't know, just by looking at the homepage here, there's some conflicting things, but
absolutely,
definitely elements of success.
The other thing I want to see is how much content. See, they have over 500 posts. I mean, that alone, their age, the 500 posts, the EEAT they've built up, and all of those things, as well as the topic they've chosen as well.
Right.
They're focusing on LA and things to do in LA and connecting businesses with parents, that kind of stuff is kind of their thing. Might be more than enough to be overpowering.
Right.
They could just be getting a lot of traffic.
Yep.
I think they could just be improving their brand a bit and potentially making a lot more money with some simple improvements. We kind of glossed over like these social icons, but they have a YouTube, they have Pinterest, they have LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. Short of really looking at each one of those things, I'm gonna like go out on a limb here, and I think this might be the one that gets the most traffic.
That's gonna be my guess.
In spite of design that's not. And notice that too, that's kind of a cool little thing.
Right.
But they've got this little sign up here that when you scroll past it the first time, every time, the rest of the screen kind of just goes a little bit dim for just a second, and it highlights that and it makes it really pop. That's a cool little feature as well.
Very in-depth.
And notice how all their ads do that.
Yeah.
Their ads stick with you just a little bit longer because they made the ad box. I'm guessing Mediavine's one that did that, but they made the ad box big enough that the space is big enough that the ad sticks with you for just a little longer. Makes you a little more money.
I'm gonna say this is the number one.
This is the number one.
It's gotta be. So let's look at the next. All right, this is Climbers Point. Okay, got a decently built out homepage. They do have some featured content. It's not totally that different from the blog roll. I'd like to see a little bit more variety.
A little bit more. From a design standpoint, and this isn't like a huge critique, but the fonts are all too small. It's like, if I'm using this website, I feel like I need to zoom in, and I hate zooming in on my browser, because then when I go to other websites, everything looks all screwed up, and then I have to zoom back out. For some reason, I hate that. The fonts are all too small. I'd have also liked to seen it on the menu. You don't have a logo there. I think at this point, probably get a logo, and then I think your main menu bar could be a little bit bigger. Have more of a menu there that stays with you as you scroll down. We don't need such a huge search bar. The menu. I'm assuming this is the menu here. It almost feels like. So this is like almost categories on the site. It's like, okay, but are there other pages we should be featuring? Right. And that's one thing we're not doing at all, is we're not featuring any pages on the homepage really, except the newsletter. There was a call out for the newsletter. Everything else is down there in the footer menu, but
I was just gonna check and see
how much
many
content.
Posts.
55. And it feels like more than that. Like it feels like you got quite a bit of content. If it's 55-ish posts, and it's spread across that many different aspects, bouldering, sport climbing, training. I have a suspicion that I think we're at more than 55 now.
Right.
But at the time they submitted this, I suspect that this one didn't have a lot of topical authority. And so it's probably one of our middle ones.
That's gonna be my guess as well. It looks like they have some sort of community, which I think is good. There were a few other things that maybe looked like they were doing to maybe build some authority and that sort of thing.
They've got a forum on their website. That's cool. Or is this just their blog?
It looks like there's some ask a question feature. So it looks like something.
So it's kind of like
maybe some sort of forum.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I don't know how, short of creating an account, we don't see how active it is. Any opportunity you can have to create engagement and build some community is going to be good. So you're doing a lot of really good things. I just don't think it's far enough along yet to be getting.
This one feels middle of the road. out of these 5. So let's take a look at this last one here. Glitter Rebel, okay.
That looks nice. See how I mentioned before, like that full width kind of top section, just the way we're going these days. And then like the background changed to just white to kind of give you a little bit about me section. And then top continents here, that's got a new background. So we have a lot more space in between, but it's not just white,
right?
Which would just feel really, really empty.
Well, and even like there's these various aspects and elements, and like you said, it's a little more spread out. And I think that's a good thing to some extent because it's not too much, but it's just not an overwhelming amount of information.
As I scroll, I'm only really able to focus on one thing at a time. Yeah. And I'm okay with the homepage having only a few latest articles on it. Definitely. I think that's fantastic for this kind of homepage.
Yeah, definitely. This, it looks like, I mean, they have different, content about various places in the world. It feels a little bit, I would just say the niche fits this style very well.
Oh, very much.
It feels more custom.
The design feels right.
Definitely.
They have socials.
Yep.
Or maybe these are just share buttons. They've got a YouTube channel with some subscribers, 81 videos. Not a ton of subscribers yet, though.
It looks like in their menu, they're offering some free resources, either linking out or maybe something they've created. Haven't checked yet.
Oh, this is the topic of blogging. So they're telling other travelers about how to blog.
Very interesting.
But they only have the one blog post in there. A couple of comments on there, though. So a little bit of engagement there. I think I'm ready. I think I know the order. Here's where I place it. I've got momsla.com has 200,000 page views a month. I think glitterrebel.com has 14,000. Daily Tea has 11,000. Climbers Point has 1,000. And Smart TV Central has 300. Those two I could have switched. That's my guess, but I don't know the answers. So I'm curious what you think.
Okay, I feel like I'm pretty much 100% in line with that.
The biggest reason, and to not be too redundant though, the biggest reason driving that for me, the order, is the Moms LA. First of all, massive amount of content, a fair amount of age, but also real EEAT.
Definitely.
That I think they've done a good job of building, even though they don't have like amazing design. Looking at the travel one, the fact that they have the socials. Their design is great. They have the second highest amount of content of any of these. Travel's competitive like recipes are, but the fact that they have the other
social element makes a big difference.
I think it's probably helping quite a bit.
Yeah.
That's why I put it above Daily Tea Time, but they're fairly close to one another in terms of traffic.
Yeah.
Fun for everyone who got on the order. Yes.
Nailed it.
Awesome.
So the big takeaway from this is the sites that did the best had a few things in common. One, for the most part, they had some kind of social media, which, yes, it can drive traffic. It's a good part of it, but also it builds community. And community is a great way to actually build a brand that people come back to. The next thing was that all of these ones that did well, they have built some authority outside of just their blog. EEAT was probably one of the biggest things I think that drove the biggest one to success. And then the last one is these ranked almost perfectly in order by how many blog posts they had. The ones that created the most content are the ones that did the best. So learn from those lessons and do those things, and don't make some major blogging mistakes. We've made some major blogging mistakes, and I'd like to tell you about those. So I'm gonna put a video right about here-ish that you can go check out so you can learn about some of the big blogging mistakes we've made and how to avoid them.